Okay, I've got the 4 cases here that I'm going to switch out to the new black cases. As you can see, they're all different. Some of them are ancient. This one on the end here, this is 1996 case. The one on this far end is a 1998 case, old beige cases. As you can see from the back though, these all have identical setups, identical motherboards, wireless cards, power supplies, and all except for that one. I've got identical ones to these that I want to switch out. And this black case here is very similar to the other one, so I'm going to keep this case but not use it with this motherboard because all the guts in these are identical and I want them all completely matching. So this case will be kept for another system, probably one of the other beige systems. And this silver case will probably be kept for a system because it's a pretty nice case. It's a little above average, and I'll keep all the gray drives and stuff in it. But we're going to switch them out, and I do have some black CD-ROM drives, and I've got a few other drives there I just wanted to test because none of these drives have been tested. I believe they're all working, and those are just some extras that I've got. I just need to test, see if they're good. And these 3 are going to be used. They're light-ons, I think 48-speed CD drives. These are also light-ons right here, but they were manufactured for compact, so they're branded as a compact drive, but they have the same model number. I wish my camera would focus better. Same model number as this one, LTN 486S. I know this isn't focusing, but the exact same drives. As you can see, the casing is exactly identical. Everything on the back side is identical. The only difference is the face plates. These 3 here have plug-ins for headphones and the volume control for the headphones, and these don't. They just omitted them. But otherwise, the lights, the buttons, the casings, everything's identical, and you know, that's 5 identical ones I've got. These 2 are oddballs. This one's made by HL Data Storage, and the other one I believe is a compact spare, but it's a totally different model, earlier model I think. But 48-speed CD drive should be, you know, plenty enough to work in these, and I'm not going to bother putting floppies in them right now. I might come back during the process and kind of show you what's going on, and we'll knock them out one at a time. Okay, these are the first 2 cases we're going to swap out. There's the new model case. And here's probably the most ancient one I've got, 1996 model, very old gateway case. Okay, we're starting with the first computer here. I've got the top off of it, and we're going to switch it out into the black case here. There's not many option cards in this one. There's a Sound Blaster Live card. Hard to see down there. There's a wireless card, and I just recently put those in all the systems new. And GeForce 2 GTX 32 megabyte card. All the other 3 systems that we're going to be switching out are identical in parts to these, including the motherboards. The motherboards, the sound cards, the wireless cards, the GeForce cards, even the processors, Pentium 3 slot 1 650 megahertz processors, and even the power supplies are all going to be identical. They're only about, I think, 250 watt or 235 watt, excuse me, but that's all these little systems need. And some of them have identical hard drives. They're mostly 10 to 20 gigabyte hard drives in these. And here's what the front of the old case looks like. And we're going to get rid of the old beige CD-ROM, the old beige floppy. I probably won't put floppies in these right now because I don't have them. And like I said, when we're changing these out, we're going to test all those CD-ROM drives, make sure they work. They've just been untested, and this is a good opportunity for me too, and I'm going to be putting these in some of the systems so it'll match the cases. And we've got some memory chips here I got locally from a guy. Got a great deal, only like $7, and he let me meet them to pick them up at a local store. And those are just a couple of different branded memories. These are all PC133 120 megabyte chips, and they're all identical. And I think he pulled them out of some systems, probably from a work environment or something like that, and they're supposed to all be working, but he hasn't tested them individually, and this is a good opportunity to do that. And since these are mixed branded chips that I have in here, these are all mixed branded compact, Infineon, stuff like that. I'm just going to go ahead and, I know they all work in these systems, but I'm going to take them out and put the same brand, same capacity and speed in every one of them. That way all these are identical, and any spare parts I have can just be popped in and out of any of the systems if we have a problem during a LAN party. Okay, one of the first things I'm going to do is take note of all these connectors that come from your front panel. These are for your power on switches, your reset switch, your hard disk drive activity light, your power light, and usually you have a speaker connection. Some motherboards, they're going to have the speaker, it'll be a little piezo buzzer or something built in on the motherboard itself, and you won't have that connection. If you do, it could be like an option. You might even have a jumper that lets you turn on and off the onboard speaker so that you can just hear it better up front, but that's usually just used for just beep codes in case you have an error with RAM or the CPU when you boot the system up. Or something similar to that. Even really old games will use that speaker for, very, very limited sound effects. But that's not even real important, but I like to have those beeps just so I know a system's booting up properly. And after the system starts booting, most of the time it's useless. But you want to make note of where each one's plugged up. And on the new case that you use, the connectors may be slightly different. For instance, let's see, this connector right here, it's plugged onto like a link of 3 pins, and there's 3 positions. There's a black wire here and a green one here, and this is for the power LED. Well, it just needs a ground, which is where the black is, and it needs a power, which is probably about 5 volts. It's where the green wire connects. Well, on this other case, over here you've got an assortment of wires, and these are the main ones here we're going to be concerned with. See if I can single these out. Just a moment. Okay. Right here is the same connectors on this case. This case has a plus and a minus for the power connection for the light on the front. And they leave them split like this so that you can hook them up on a motherboard that has them side by side, like a 2-pin configuration, or you can leave a gap in the middle and connect them up and just omit the middle pin, and so you have your plus and minus. But the main thing is to know where the plus and minus goes. If you accidentally reverse them, it's okay. The power light just won't light up. You won't burn it out, but you'll have to get it in the right configuration before the light works. And the same thing with your hard drive light. But on most cases, and this one's no exception, hard drive light's a 2-pin connection, and you can either put it on one way or the other. If you put it on the wrong way, it's not going to work. You got to get it on right to make it work, but it won't burn anything out. So that's kind of a no-brainer. And the rest of the connections are for like your power switch and your reset switch. It doesn't matter which way they go, because all they do is ground out 2 pins together. You can place them on either way. They just have to be on the correct 2 pins. And kind of by itself is a connection for the speaker. You got a plus and a minus. You put it on backwards. I think I've actually seen these actually work either way, but I think usually you have to have them on the proper way, plus and minus there. Just make notice, the newer cases, like your minus is, or your negative is the black here, and your red your positive, but like on all the other connections you see, you've got a colored wire and a white. Well, the white's negative usually if you don't have a black. So all these whites are usually negative. And on the old case over here, you see that there's lots of colors, but the partnered wire is black. The black is the negative on these older cases. The newer ones usually use white. They may use black. And all these connections here are things that we're not going to use. This is for USB, and this motherboard doesn't have a pin header for USB connections, but this case has it on the front in case you put a newer motherboard in. And this right here is for the audio connectors on the front. I'd like to use them, but the Sound Blaster Live cards don't have a connection for this, and the motherboard doesn't either, so we don't have onboard motherboard sound there. And this is basically jumpered off of these same connectors. It's just a different configuration of the wires, a different pin out, and it's the older standard called AC97, and it may have even come out in 1997, but we're not going to use those because we're not using the front audio headers. Maybe at a later date I might hack these wires and connect them straight to the ports on the Sound Blaster card somehow. That way people can plug headphones onto the front of the system instead of having to have a longer set of wires on their headphones to reach the back. But that's what we're doing right now. I have taken digital pictures of those connections, so I know where these wires go back to, and that's the easiest way to do it. Or if you just have a pencil and a piece of paper, you can just write make your little diagram and write what the pinouts are. And also take note of the silk screening on the motherboard. This one's labeled pretty good, but some of them, are, you know, kind of hard to figure out where's the plus, where's the minus. It just have speaker written beside them or something, and you've got to figure out exactly the configuration. But the easiest way, if you're just switching out like I am, is to just take note of the way the original wires are connected and duplicate that on the new case.